Hi. I've thought about coming back here so many times and then just felt so overwhelmed by the thought of it. So let me back up to the last you've heard from me, which was around Christmas time. So I had just come back from a month and a half in Alaska and come back to New York for better treatment. We had a lovely set of holidays. They were very relaxed. And what was really nice about that was I had been traveling for, I think, 46 hours or something ridiculous without sleep. And it felt really good just to settle in with Tim and the dogs and just have a very quiet set of holidays, except for the release of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, which, of course, you saw. I had a little solo dance party, too. And then I just got really stuck. And I think I probably spent 2 months on the couch, just unable to really reason with myself on how to get up. I started a crochet project, and that became the excuse for, oh, I have to get to this point before I can do anything else. Couldn't think about my art. I felt like with time becoming so short that the anxiety was just amping up. And every time I thought about all the things that I still wanted to get done, it just got me more stuck because I'd get more panicky about it and then I couldn't accomplish anything. And then about a month ago, someone we know passed away. And I think I just got very angry because she was such a good person. And all the things that made her such a good person were amplified in some ways only. And what I mean by that is this was a woman who was very selfless, and that's a beautiful thing. And I'm not saying it's not. But she also, she could laugh at wildly inappropriate jokes. She could be loud. She could be inappropriate herself. And I felt like as I was watching people kind of latching on to who she was and somehow trying to kind of claim a piece of her, they turned her into this angelic, untouchable, smaller version of herself sitting on a pedestal. And all I kept thinking was how lonely a place that would be if she could see what was being done to her image. And that it was as if she was being epitomized as what all women should be, which is selfless and quiet and propping up the man that they love. And nowhere in anything that I have read has there been anything about who she was. It was always what she did for someone else and how they felt about it. And I found that really upsetting. And I think the idea of coming back to YouTube and having conversations with you all, I was starting to feel like there was no way for me to live up to the image that you all were portraying of me. Because the person who I am, outside of talking about cancer, is political and loud and opinionated and angry. And I trust my husband to never let me suffer the same fate as this woman that we knew. And I know he wouldn't. He will share well-rounded stories of me, as will my friends. But it was just really hard to see that society will diminish a woman into this pigeonholed idea of what womanhood should be. And I don't want to be pigeonholed like that. So honestly, I hadn't even looked at YouTube. I did not know you all were starting to ask questions, and I'm sorry for stepping away as much as I did. That was a very sad time to learn about this woman who passed. But then it got compounded with a friend of ours who we were there the day he was put on hospice, and we've been watching his decline for a long time. And Tim was asked to speak at his wake and be pallbearer at his funeral, and it was hard enough to suffer the grief of watching his decline and his life partner's grief, because she's so precious to us. And to see her in so much pain is almost unbearable. And Tim wanted to do the best he possibly could in honor of our friend. And, that was a full-on week of attention to making that happen. And he's seeing it from one side. I'm watching it all play out. We go to the funeral, and I'm like envisioning my part in that role at a funeral, and then envisioning his part as it's playing out in front of us. And I know he was doing the exact same thing. And the layering on of grief for our friends with our own grief, and the fact that I cannot find my way out of this. It goes from anxiety to depression to deep, dark depression to disconnect and numbness, and then back to depression. And I just cannot get out of this loop. And I got very defensive when Tim, feeling the fact that the end is near, right? And my oncologist saying, I can't believe you're still standing up. Especially since my latest scans, we found out just a couple of weeks ago, the cancer's now around my gallbladder, and it's spreading. And even with medication, even with infusions, which I don't know what I want to do, but if I am eligible for these infusions, the most I get is a year, and that's with a lot of sickness to get me there. I don't even know where I was going with this. What was I saying? Oh, the time is short, and that Tim doesn't want to waste it. And for me, it felt like the question was, how are you going to get yourself out of your own predicament? Because I don't know how to do that. And I've always said I'm very good at being happy. And this summer, I found so much of that. But this world we live in, and these ICE raids, and these families being torn apart, and people being executed in the streets, don't you dare come into my channel and tell me it was otherwise. I watched the videos over and over and over again from every angle before the news digested them and told us what we were supposed to think about them, before the government told us. I saw all of it, and I know what I saw. And I don't want to live in a world like this. And if this doesn't start to turn around, I don't see any reason to be taking any more medication to continue to survive this. I am a survivor of sexual assault. To see these Epstein files and these young children, they are not young women, they are not underage women, they were children, and the things that happened to them, and the way that you can read the body language and the language of predators, and to know that our president is one. I feel like I've moved out of the house that I grew up in, and I have graduated to being in the same exact scenario with the president and his entire entourage. So I'm having a very hard time reconciling all of that. There are realizations coming to me about my parents' lack of protection, my father's inappropriate I don't have any proof that he ever did anything wrong, but the way that he would look at my friends, the way that he would flirt with young waitresses that were half his age, the things that are coming to my mind now, the way he blamed me for everything that ever happened to me, the fact that he then denied it, even though Tim was sitting right next to me when he did it, the gaslighting, the voting for this particular president, the trauma that comes up with all of that, the physical assaults, the fact that any medical intervention feels like an assault. I can't get out of this, and there is no therapy or meditating your way out of being surrounded by trauma 100% of the time. And now I feel like the things that I could escape when it came to thinking about my cancer advancing, I've always been at the point where it was always the treatment that I was afraid of, that it was the treatment that was making me sick. It was never the cancer. And soon, much sooner than I'd like to admit, I think it's going to be the cancer. Yesterday, I doubled over, almost passing out. I had such pain in my abdomen, and it came from nowhere. I've been eating out a lot lately because we've been eating after the funeral and the wake, and we were in New York City for that, and not having my normal food, and I have food sensitivities. I understand all of that plays into it. It's very hard not to think that something's going terribly wrong when you have that kind of reaction. And so I am really struggling. I don't know how many of you follow Francine Has Cancer. She is a lovely person. We connected over our YouTube videos and our concern for not having death with dignity, which now New York State has passed, even though they put up ridiculous roadblocks to it. She checked in on me and said that you all were starting to ask her questions. And she tried to be very helpful. Why don't you just give a little update? Why don't you do, look at things this way or that? And I think some of it was really helpful, but then other parts of it, coming here and making this video, really felt like homework. And I feel like so many people are asking things of me, and this has nothing to do with Francine, nothing at all. This is just anybody who has asked anything of me in the most innocent way and in a way that I actually do want to participate. And it doesn't matter that I want to participate. It still feels like one more impossible task to add onto all the impossible tasks I've put on myself. I have a friend who teaches at the University of Maine. She's invited a friend up to guest speak in her course. I've done that in prior courses for her. And when she realized that the four of us who got together for our birthdays in October could come together and all four of us teach in this class, it sounds like it's an incredible opportunity, and it is. But I got panicky, like, oh my God, I have to create a lesson plan. I have to think about how to do farm foods and photography and how to make that play in with what the other people are teaching. And it's not a paid event, and that's great. I'm actually fine with that. It gives less pressure to not be a paid event, but at the same time, I still don't know what I'm supposed to do for this. So I panicked, and everything feels like I'm panicking all the time. So I'm sorry I've been missing. I'm sorry that I know I promised you I would keep you guys in the loop. I feel like I have nothing to contribute because I don't know how to answer any questions for myself, so I don't know how to answer questions for you. So what am I supposed to come here and say that makes any difference to anybody? Because I can't help myself. I can't be there for my friends in the way that I want to. It just feels so over the top, and I make myself do it, and I don't want to say I don't want to do it, because I do want to do it. I want to be there for my friends, but it's hard. So anyway, I won't be available for a little while. I will tell you what is happening when I actually know in terms of my medication. That was the other thing. The results from the latest scan didn't come back right away, and then when they did, I had a liquid biopsy done for a company called Guardant. That's who discovered my variant of cancer. So we knew what medication we could try next when I was doing things over the summer. We did it this time, and insurance has denied the test, which has already been done. It wasn't pre-cleared because it's been done before for me with this agency, and it's never denied through the lab that I go through. So to find out that I am now on the hook for $10,000, and then while being at the wake, get a call from my insurance company saying that they are denying also the second part of the test. And I was like, I didn't even know there were two parts to this test. I knew I sent in one blood sample. I had no idea that there were two parts to this test. One part is $10,000, and I don't know what the other part is, and I am not working, and I don't know. They do this on purpose, and I know it. And they say it's exploratory, but the only way to know what medication to take next is to have this test. So yeah, okay. I call. We'll figure it out. But yeah. So when I know more, I will let you know more. But there's just been nothing. I've literally just been sitting here since New Year's, just unable to manifest anything until our friend passed, and then I had to get on my computer to look for old photos. And then I started making some art. And so one thing I have been able to do was get back into that. And there are some new images on my site. I will also say that there was, YouTube, you get involved on the monetization level. And when you get a big enough audience, I want to say thank you to you guys, because now all these products are coming and asking me if I want to partner with them. I don't want my channel to be that. And some of these don't even make sense for my channel. But one did, and it is a 360 camera, and it's a really cool thing, and I got to use it while I was in Alaska. I have 6 weeks worth of videos, and then the photographs that I took. It took me this whole past week to go through 3,000 photos and pull out 90 of them to share with you and edit them and work on them. And now I'm integrating them into this new film. And so I'm hoping to have that out next week. But it's an Akaso 360 camera, and it's not a product review. It's just a tool I use to tell a better story to you. So I owe the company that. I owe you that, because you were the ones that helped me get this. And it's a fun little perk of basically a lot of shit. So thanks for being on my side and making my channel attractive enough for somebody to offer that to me. So I don't think there's a whole lot else to, there's not a lot else to share. I do love you guys, and I miss you, and I don't know if I can keep up with comments, and I will try. But that's all I've got. So, all right. Be well. And I hope your new year is going better than mine. Mwah. Take care.